Griff Hamlin here from Blues Guitar Unleashed. Welcome and thanks for joining me today. In today's video, we're going to talk about a really cool riff. Believe it or not, you may recognize it from a variety of different places. It's kind of a common idea. I stole it from Rory Gallagher, and believe it or not, the song is Tore Down. And it probably sounds nothing like any version of Tore Down you've ever heard, if you're not familiar with the Rory Gallagher version. But it's a very kind of cool, blues rock vibe. You might hear like some Creedence Clearwater, almost like a classic rock vibe on that riff. So let's walk through the riff. Let me kind of show you how it works, why it's so common, and then what makes the set of changes involved kind of interesting. So here we go. Starting out, we're basing around an E7 chord. So we got the low E, the open E, and I'm going to slide up into my first finger on the 3rd fret D on the 2nd string, and my middle finger on the 4th fret B on the 3rd string. And I'm going to slide from a fret below. And that's, you may recognize from good old box 1. And then we slide up to box 2 of the E minor pentatonic scale. Or you can think of it as 2 notes out of an E7 chord. It's the 5th and the 7th of the chord. It's a very common idea. So I'm going to strike it 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There's a rest. And 1. I just hold it through beat 1. And now I'm going to slide back down into box 1. Do a pull off from the A to the G on the 3rd string down to the E on the 4th string. Roll my finger back to get the A and the C sharp, the 2nd fret on the 2nd and 3rd strings. Open G. E pulls off to D and down to a B on the 2nd fret of the 5th string. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. You probably hear a little bit of rattling and stuff going on. It's kind of the way, I'll say, my guitar is set up, in the sense that right now it needs a little bit of help, and you're going to hear it bleeding through that mic. So you're going to actually hear some of the rattle. I'm hitting it pretty hard. Pardon me. If you take away the open air mic, you would not hear that, so I apologize for that. But it's tone-wise, I'm kind of using like a Marshall-y overdriven thing, using my 11 rack, and I've got the bridge position pickup on my Strat. I've backed off the tone just a hair. If I leave it wide open, you'll hear it's pretty bright, which is kind of a characteristic of the Rory Gallagher tone. So don't be afraid of it. It's not a bad sound at all. So this is our main riff. So make sure you get that down, because you're going to go through that 4 times before you move on to the A. So the open A, and it's going to be exactly what I just played, moved up to an A. It's the exact same notes, and I hope you see that. So it's that same thing, except in this case it's going to be the E, the 9th fret on the 3rd string, and the G is going to be the 8th fret on the 2nd string. So I have my open A to start it. You could use the 5th fret on the 6th string. I don't know which way he did it. I didn't see. It sounds like the open A, but I'm making a guess. And then we're going to go back into box 1 in A. So that right there, the D to C, pull off 7th to 5th fret on the 3rd string, down to A, 7th fret on the 4th string. Again, my little bar, except in this case I'm getting a D and an F sharp. 7th fret on the 2nd and 3rd string. C, A pulls off to G and down to E on the 7th fret of the 5th string. 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Sorry. Okay, so we have the original riff. Sorry. That we're going to do 4 times. And that's just like the first 4 bars of a blues. It's the 1 chord, right? And then we go up to the 4 chord twice. And then we're going to go back to the 1 chord, of course, because the next 2 bars, or in this case, the next 2 passes through the riff, are the 1. And then, of course, what you should expect after that. So, basically that riff, even though it's 2 bars long, that riff 1 time is equivalent to 1 bar of the 12-bar blues. Okay, so we've basically gone through 4 bars of 1, 2 bars of 4, and 2 bars of 1. So the next thing that comes up should be the 5 chord. And sure enough, so this is an interesting way to play a B7. What he's going to do is play that B at the, this is on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and kind of lay down a bar, because now I'm going to strike the E on the 4th string with that bar, but immediately hammer onto the F sharp at the 4th fret, and then strike the A also with the bar. And I'm going to let all that ring out. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and then that same D, E to B pull off. And you'll want to do that probably with your middle finger. Because then, instead of going down to A, it's going to go up a half step. This is not, it's less common, but it's certainly not out of the realm of common. And it's just a C. Played the C and then the E and the G. And then down to my B. And so the first 3 notes, the 2nd fret B, the D sharp, and the A, come out of a good old, open B7 chord. But the last thing he's going to hit is what I call kind of a pick drag. It's those 2 opens at the top, because that he's sort of in the process of going back to the riff. So when you play that up to speed, it goes by kind of quickly. And then it doesn't bother you so much. If you play that slowly, it sounds kind of weird having that at the top, but if you go up to tempo, it doesn't really bother you so much. And that's pretty much the whole thing. Obviously in Rory Gallagher's recording, there's a whole lot more. He plays a lot of solo and all this kind of stuff. But that's pretty much the riff. And like I said, you hear this in songs like, like Creedence Clearwater has a song that kind of starts with that. And I can't remember what it is, Run Through the Jungle, maybe. Anyway, can't remember off the top of my head. But there's, you hear variations on that riff all over the place in blues rock and in classic rock music. It pops up everywhere. So I thought this would be a lot of fun. I will have this video, I'll embed it on my blog. I'll put a link to a PDF of the tab underneath that. So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, there's probably a link back to my blog underneath it, or if you're on Facebook, look for a link that'll lead you back to that tab if you need it. And I hope you dig the video and have some fun with it, and I will see you soon. Take care. 2, 3, 4.